Okay, before anyone accuses me of being obsessed with transgender people and talking about them too much, I have two things to say to you. Number one, there is a huge difference between talking about the topic of people with gender dysphoria, physically and medically transitioning, and the ideology that wants to rip away the definition of man and woman. Second of all, I have gender dysphoria, and even though I have no plans of transitioning, I think I have the right to speak on something that directly affects me.
This wonderful relationship that has nothing to do with how attractive nobody cares about.
But what we should be, what the American goal is. So I am guilty of watching quite a few YouTubers who like to throw the word body dysmorphia around. They use the term body dysmorphia to describe anybody who is transitioning who they don't think is
really transgender.
I'm going to give you a brief history of the transgender wars from 2015 to now.
It's not comprehensive. There are probably better YouTubers who
Could talk about this better. From like 2015 to 2016, there were two main types of trans YouTubers. The truscum, a derogatory term for trans people who think that the only way to be trans is to have gender dysphoria. And then there were the too cutes, or the transtrenders, both derogatory terms describing trans who believed you did not need to have gender dysphoria in order to be trans.
Hi, I'm just editing and I wanted to let you know that I'm gonna be using the preferred pronouns of any trans YouTubers I mention in this video. Okay, bye.
In 2016, Riley Dennis and Blair White were both prominent trans women YouTubers who fought for trans rights advocacy. One main difference was that Blair was more conservative, while Riley was more progressive. I don't want to say liberal like libertarian because Riley was most definitely not a libertarian. Blair also believed you need to have gender dysphoria to be trans, while Riley believed this was not a requirement. Because of this, Blair called Riley a transtrender and refused to call her by she/her pronouns. In a debate with another YouTuber, Blair was called out for calling Riley by male pronouns. Blair said she wasn't willing to call a man a woman, and that she believed Riley was a man because he presented masculine and made no effort to transition.
I've never seen Riley Dennis wear a female article of clothing, ever.
Blair's frustration is justified to some extent. Blair felt dysphoric since she was 5 years old, with her gender dysphoria getting so bad that by the time she was a teenager, she was unable to leave the house. Transitioning, she believes, saved her life, and it ostracized her from half her family. Even though, if I remember correctly, Riley Dennis and Blair White came out as trans around the same time, Riley Dennis seems a product of queer theory brainwashing in college, while Blair felt the need to allay her gender dysphoria through transitioning. It makes sense for Blair to feel appropriated by Riley for a condition Riley does not experience. I say condition because Blair believes gender dysphoria is necessary for identifying as trans, and gender dysphoria is clinically a mental illness. To her, Riley is not only appropriating her lifestyle, but also her mental illness. If she had conveyed this to Riley in a respectful, compassionate way, Riley may have understood better, as Riley stands against cultural appropriation. Instead, Blair drew attention to Riley's masculine qualities, unintentionally sending a torrent of hate from her audience to Riley's. Simultaneously, instead of telling Riley, "Please don't appropriate my struggle," she communicated that she would only refer to Riley by female pronouns if Riley began taking estrogen. In 2017, Riley released a video where she admitted to being on estrogen for a year and that she was getting facial feminization surgery before Blair, and Blair apologized for ever calling Riley a man, assuming that because Riley was now transitioning, Riley had been dysphoric all along. The problem was that 1 year ago, Riley and another trans YouTuber frequently called a transtrender, Milo Stewart, collaborated in a video where they talked about being trans with little dysphoria. You can tell in the video that neither has gender dysphoria whatsoever, but that they both grab the most remote parts of body insecurities and mistranslate that into gender dysphoria. Which is stupid because everybody experiences body insecurities some of the time, but gender dysphoria affects 1 in 30,000 to 100,000 people. Both Milo and Riley did not see themselves transitioning as of 2016, yet both have now undergone surgeries and hormone replacement therapy since then. Around the time of the turning of the YouTube century, like 2019 maybe, it seemed pretty clear that the true scum had won. You needed gender dysphoria to be trans. Even though a lot of the people who still screamed transtrender talking points still claim
you do not need gender dysphoria to be trans,
they all said,
but I still have gender dysphoria.
Of course, the truscum were like,
Wait, why does everybody have gender dysphoria? This doesn't make sense.
the fake trans must have body dysmorphia. Originally, I thought body dysmorphia just meant that you thought you were bigger than you actually were, and this might be the fault of Blair White.
First of all, dysmorphia is different from dysphoria, which gender dysphoria is obviously what I thought when I transitioned and went trans, whatever. Dysmorphia is like looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking you're fat when you're not, or thinking you're skinny when you're not. In fact, I wanted to actually talk about that.
Is it only weight?
It's weight, and I think it's certain body parts.
Not all women's fault.
So what exactly is body dysmorphia? Body dysmorphia is a mental health condition where a person spends a lot of time worrying about flaws in his appearance. Mayo Clinic goes on to describe, you may seek out numerous cosmetic procedures to try to fix your perceived flaw. Afterward, you may feel temporarily satisfied or a reduction in your distress, but often the anxiety returns and you may resume searching for other ways to fix your perceived flaw. Treatment of body dysmorphic disorder may include cognitive behavioral therapy and medication.
How is this different from gender dysphoria?
Now that I've gone through what I consider to be pretty much the last medical stage for me, it has highlighted a lot about myself, about my body, that I can't really cope with. Now, a lot of these feelings are dysphoria related, but some of them are just related to my body in general, outside of gender. You don't realise how much it shifts your view onto another part of your body. So ever since surgery, my brain has been fixated on how skinny my arms are and how much I hate that, how I've never really bulked up or put on any muscle.
So now let's take body dysmorphia and replace the idea of weight with genitalia, or your chest if you're female, or your voice. Body dysmorphia does not magically stop becoming body dysmorphia just because it's focusing on a primary or secondary sex characteristic. When you replace the description of body dysmorphia with issues around your primary and secondary sex characteristics, body dysmorphia sounds exactly like what we perceive to be gender dysphoria, where you want surgery to remove certain parts of yourself that make you uncomfortable. It's an obsessive anxiety about certain aspects of your body with a desire to change them. Now, let's look at the Mayo Clinic's definition of gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is the feeling of discomfort or distress that might occur in people whose gender identity differs from his sex assigned at birth, or sex-related physical characteristics. Transgender and gender-diverse people might experience gender dysphoria at some point in their lives. However, some transgender and gender-diverse feel at ease with their bodies, with or without medical intervention. That was a little bit confusing, and that didn't really tell you exactly what gender dysphoria is. Why is the more clear definition of a body dysmorphia something that the Mayo Clinic specifically says,
Do not get surgery to treat.
whereas gender dysphoria, which has a much looser definition, is encouraged to be treated through medical procedures? It seems to me that it would make more sense to treat body dysmorphia with surgery than gender dysphoria with surgery, because with body dysmorphia, you're just removing something. Whereas gender dysphoria, you're removing and adding and undergoing a bunch of synthetic hormones to change your body to resemble the biological sex that is physically unattainable for you. Let's break down what it means to have gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is the feeling that your gender identity does not match your biological sex. Your gender identity is your inner sense of being male, female, or something else. Male, of or denoting the sex that produces small, typically mobile gametes, especially spermatozoa, which a female may be fertilized or inseminated or produced offspring. Female, of or denoting a sex that can bear offspring or produce eggs, distinguished biologically by the production of gametes. Ova, which can be fertilized by male gametes. A gender identity is the feeling that you have certain reproductive gametes. And if you are transgender, then you have ova and ovaries and female reproductive organs, but you're looking down and you are seeing male reproductive organs.
That is what the literal definition of gender dysphoria is suggesting.
But like almost no transgender person thinks that he actually does have the gametes of the opposite sex, because that would be looking at something and seeing something that isn't there, which is schizophrenia.
Detachment from reality.
It seems to me that most transgender people have the issue where they are sort of obsessed with being the opposite sex to the point that they hate their own biological sex so violently that they begin fantasizing about mutilating their body. What seems to be more common among the transgender people on TikTok and even some of the transgender people on YouTube is that their discomfort roots in certain parts of their body. They think that discomfort with primary or secondary sex characteristics of their body means that they have gender dysphoria. When YouTubers like Ariel Scarcella, Blair White, and Marcus Dibjensen talk about body dysmorphia versus gender dysphoria, they unintentionally imply that gender dysphoria is somehow more severe.
Gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia are actually like opposite, completely different. Gender dysphoria basically is seeing a part of your body like that is there.
A girl without gender dysphoria physically transitions. It's a form of coping mechanism for other mental health issues.
Gender dysphoria affects 1 in 30,000 to 100,000 individuals. Body dysmorphia affects 1 in 50 individuals. All these people, go to YouTubers like Blair White, Ariel Scarcella, or Marcus Dibjensen, thinking that body dysmorphia must mean thinking that you're heavier than you actually are. And since that's not what they're feeling, then they think that what they're feeling is gender dysphoria. Even the Mayo Clinic says that body dysmorphia should not be treated with hormones and surgeries and transitioning. Yet most of the people who claim to have gender dysphoria actually have body dysmorphia, and they're going in and the doctors are treating them because the doctors aren't diagnosing them with gender dysphoria anymore. In order to not do medical malpractice, you would not be allowing somebody with body dysmorphia to be transitioning.
It is also incredibly common for young girls to feel discomfort around their body parts when they're changing.
I wouldn't even consider this body dysmorphia because it is so common. They're thinking this discomfort is rooted in the fact that they are boys trapped in girls' body, when actually the mismatch going on
is because they have a child's brain but a young adult's body.
So where do I fall? Do I have body dysmorphia or gender dysphoria? The answer is yes. From an early age, I have had somewhat gender issues, you could say. When I was 3, I would occasionally say weird things like,
oh, when I become a boy, I'm gonna go potty standing up.
Which is, a stupid thing that 3-year-olds say. But I do remember, since I was 8 years old, I always felt weird when I was in a group of only girls. And the best way I can describe it is,
I felt like the only boy in the group.
And this was only with girly girls?
Because sometimes girls would say something really girly and I would cringe and I'd be like,
I don't relate to that at all.
Or they might say something TMI that's like a girls only thing, if you know what I mean. And they would say that because there were no boys around, and they would probably be afraid that boys would be uncomfortable and be unable to relate. But I was sitting here thinking, I'm uncomfortable and I don't relate.
Oh, another thing. So on average, the boys in my peer group changed a few years later than the girls. So around 9th grade, I began developing this inside joke I would have with pretty much every boy I came into contact with, where I would be like,
oh, when's my voice gonna change like yours? Why am I being left behind?
I really wanted to experience that as well, because I did feel left behind, even though I knew that, biologically it was impossible.
Pretty much every girl in my grade.
When the first changes started happening, I was obviously uncomfortable. But I didn't think anything was wrong because literally every girl around me seemed uncomfortable as well. I knew it was body dysmorphia at the time because
I forgot to mention that at this point most of the girls had grown out of their initial discomfort.
I didn't really feel the need to dress any less feminine.
Around this time, I would occasionally have moments that would last anywhere from a few minutes to an hour, where I would suddenly feel trapped inside my body, where I would feel like this disgusting crawling sensation everywhere with focal points at my female attributes.
But then at some point last year, it hit a point where that feeling did not turn off and it was there all the time.
I felt like I really needed a binder. I really wanted to get a double mastectomy. I just wanted to remove the issue as fast as possible.
Eventually, I became anxious to go outside dressing feminine whatsoever. So I think gender dysphoria is the most accurate way of describing how I feel. However, I would encourage you actually to read a Twitter thread by the Twitter user TulipR, or Richie, who is a male detransitioner, and he basically breaks down why gender dysphoria as a diagnosis doesn't work. Basically, gender dysphoria can be broken down into body dysmorphia, OCD, schizophrenia, depression, and social anxiety,
which should all not be treated with surgery and hormones.
My point with this video is that I think body dysmorphia should receive more awareness, since it is more common than gender dysphoria, and it is so easily to misdiagnose body dysmorphia and treat it the wrong way because it is so similar to gender dysphoria. The body image related aspects of gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia are not that different. If body dysmorphia should be treated through cognitive behavioral therapy instead of surgery, then why can't we use cognitive behavioral therapy to treat gender dysphoria as well?
Lipstick on my guitar. Fill up the engine, we can drive real far. Go dancing underneath the stars. Oh yeah, I want it all. You got me feeling like I wanna be that guy. I wanna kiss your eyes. I wanna drink that smile. I wanna feel like my soul's on fire. I wanna stay up all day and all night. Yeah, you got me singing like, ooh, I love it when you do it like that. And when you're close up, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks. And when they say the party's over, then we'll bring it right back. And we'll say, ooh, I love it when you do it like that. And when you're close up, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks. And when they say the party's over, then we'll bring it right back into the car. On the backseat in the moonlit dark, wrap me up between your legs and arms. Ooh, I can't get enough. You know you could tear me apart. Put me back together, take my heart. I never thought that I could love this hard. Ooh, I can't get enough. You got me feeling like I wanna be that guy. I wanna kiss your eyes. I wanna drink that smile. I wanna feel like my soul's on fire. I wanna stay up all day and all night. Yeah, you got me singing like, ooh, I love it when you do it like that. And when you're close up, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks. And when they say the party's over, then we'll bring it right back. And we'll say, ooh, I love it when you do it like that. And when you're close up, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks. And when they say the party's over, then we'll bring it right back.